Tonight on Countdown to Green, we talk with Alan Bowes and Kyle Peddle from Space Station Racing. Blake McCandless goes from virtual to reality. And we take a look at how you race at home with the Logitech Show Us Your Rig segment. All that and more, tonight on Countdown to Green.
'Cause we're invincible.
What's up, everybody? Hello and welcome to the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series as we are setting you up for tonight's big race at Nashville Superspeedway. We are getting closer and closer to the playoffs. Looking forward to tonight's action. I'm Alan Cavana, hosting tonight. Our friend Camille is not here this week. She'll be back for the next race. That means it's myself and my good friend Brandon Cattell steering the ship tonight. Brandon, it's been a few weeks. Good to be back with you. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. Hey, we're in Music City tonight. I'm ready to rock and roll. Get this race going.
I love it. And I hope you had a good Father's Day. Shout out to all the dads out there. I hope it was a good time. Before we talk too much about the Music City race tonight at Nashville Superspeedway, we got to look back a few weeks ago. All the action at Worldwide Technology Raceway. It was significant for the standings. Let's look back and see what happened.
His car going to be in this time. The field is in the hands of Cody Bias as we say, let's go racing at Gateway. Bias, Bolin, Bowes, Clampett, 2, 3, 4, and 5 on the racetrack right now. Bias a little bit loose on corner exit. Here comes Bolin underneath. Graham Bolin eyeing the race lead to the inside, side by side for the top position. Kerwin has led the last 19 strong, but Graham Bolin has been chasing him down, and they are on each other's door, fighting for the race lead. And a caution flag just as your race leader, Graham Bolin, made it onto pit road. I believe he made it before the yellow flag came out, which means he should be allowed to complete his pit service. Green flag back in the air as we run down with 56 laps left to go at Worldwide Technology Raceway. The 75 started dead last, and at lap 87, they are side by side in a battle for position, and on the bottom, Busa is going to get the job done and take away P6. What a drive for the 75. Got his first win last year on the road course at Watkins Glen, but the third-year driver out of Houston, Texas, going to get his first career oval race win. Final time off for Graham Bolin wins at Worldwide Technology Raceway, the 7th winner of 2022, and puts his name on the playoff grid.
And you heard it there, the significance of a Graham Bolin win. Great timing. Great time to get your first win, especially of this season. What'd you think, Brandon, of that race that we saw just a few weeks ago? It changed a lot of things.
Well, yet again, we saw another new winner, Alan. So wins are at a premium right now. We have to talk about that because we have 7 drivers taking up the playoff spots right now. That's 3 spots left if you don't have a win. That is a big deal. So that we have a couple races left, 5 races left. So if you want a shot at this championship, you better go out there and win right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's well said. And for me, it's just another reminder of what this series means and how you win races. Yes, setups important, speed important, but sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And on that night, Graham Bolin was both. Look, he was leading the race early on. There's no argument there. But to have that luck of choosing when to pit and having the caution come out at something of an opportune time, he took that and then drove away with it and drove on to what is likely a playoff spot. So good luck for him there, because he had both that night, both luck, speed, and everything he needed to get that first win. So it's always cool to see a first-time winner, especially on a season. Of course, the significance of this all is what it did to the points. Take a look at him, Brandon. What do you see?
Well, look at the points here. We have a big shakeup. Zach Novak is actually in the top 10, but who knows for how long? He doesn't have a win yet, and we have road courses coming up. We have 2 road courses to be exact. So Bobby Zielinski, Mitchell DeYoung, we know how good they are on the road courses. They can easily sneak their way into this playoffs and kick Zach Novak right out. Jimmy Mullis continuing to run good. Michael Guest also, but they still need a win to make the playoffs, I believe.
Yeah, always interesting to see who moves from the left side of the screen to the right side, especially after a race. Let's take a look at the team standings. We have a new leader in the clubhouse yet again, Stewart Haas Racing. Big shout out to them for being on top right now, Stewart Haas Racing Esports. Big move up the screen for William Byron Esports, +6 in one race. That's a huge deal. A big tumble for the Bees. Jim Beaver Esports finished 36 and 38 at Worldwide Technology Raceway, so they drop all the way down to 4th. My biggest takeaway here is just all the movement on the screen after one race. Remember, this is a season-long competition for the team standing, so we're just about halfway through. This could change at any moment, every race. A lot of movement on here week to week, so still so much to be decided in the coming weeks as we get toward the end of this season. And as we talk about the team, Brandon, it's always fun to look at the drivers themselves and dig in. We do it each week here on the pre-race show, the Countdown to Green. Taking a look at a different team. This week, we're looking at Space Station Gaming. First up, their driver, Alan Bowles, joins us now. So let's get to know him for what he's doing out there on the racetrack. First and foremost, Alan, why'd you join Space Station Racing?
Space Station was able to offer me a lot of stuff this year, and based on some of the other offers that I got, it just seemed like this would be the best option out of them. And so far, the exposure that I've gotten on Twitter and other stuff has been pretty beneficial so far.
Yeah, they're so active online. Love to see all that. On the competition side, though, the season has not been what you want. What do you make of the season so far?
Yeah, the lots of mistakes. That's been the biggest part. Daytona, I had a top 15 run at least going, and then I self-spun in the last lap, and then everything else has been going on. Unlucky pit strategy, cautions coming out in the middle of a run, or in the middle of a gray flag pit stop, stuff like that. It's just speed's been there. I just need some luck, need to stop making so many mistakes. And I think if I can get that all under control, I should at least be able to contend for a top 20 points.
We know what you do on Tuesday nights or every other Tuesday. Tell us a little bit more about yourself. What do you do besides sim racing?
Aside from iRacing, I bowl a lot, kind of like Derek Justice. He bowls quite a bit outside of iRacing. I'd say with the summer, I've been golfing a lot more, so it's been a nice way to kind of pass some time without bowling, being in season. Then I work third shift at a factory. We make car parts for a bunch of different manufacturers, and that's about it. Not a whole lot else other than work, golf, and bowling whenever that's in the season.
We all know teamwork makes the dream work here in the iRacing series. So what is it like having Kyle as a teammate?
It's been pretty good. I've known Kyle for a while now. Used to race with him back 6 or 7 years ago before we really knew each other. And then with him hopping on Dead Zone Racing as far as the iRacing side of things over the winter for the Pro Series, we actually worked really well together over the Pro Series. So getting Kyle as a teammate has probably been my favorite part of this season because he's a lot of fun to work with.
Good stuff, Alan. Appreciate it. Good luck tonight. We'll hear from your teammate, Kyle, coming up in just a few minutes. But before that, we're going to switch it up and get to know a little bit more about a voice, a face you know and love. Blake McCandless is our friend here on the voice of the series, one of them along with Evan, and he has made the journey from virtual racing to real life racing, and we're going to learn a little bit more about that because it's a heck of a story. Here's a story of Blake McCandless.
My grandfather said there's no feeling
like looking out the window and seeing Bob Jenkins or Ronnie Sox or any of those guys he was racing back in the day. I'm Blake McCandless. I'm the color voice of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series, the voice of a Speedway, a pit reporter for the Cars Tour on Pit Road TV, and a content creator on Twitch. I didn't grow up at the racetrack, but I was still a huge motorsports fan. Loved watching races on television, regardless of what type of motorsport it was. I kind of always favored NASCAR, but growing up in a family with such a great racing history, so much heritage, I have some cousins that since they were little, they were running junior dragsters and everything. But it was just always kind of eating at you that, you know, you're growing up in a racing family, and here you are, you've never hopped in a real thing. And I think that's why iRacing was a great tool for me growing up, being able to kind of fill that void and get that competitive edge out without spending a whole lot of money to do it.
We are here at Hickory Motor Speedway. We are testing the limited late model today with Blake McCandless.
When North Wilkesboro was first released on the service, he and I think Mike Bumgarner and a couple of others, we raced all the time back then. So we really got to know each other over the last couple of years. A good friend of mine, Travis Moonhead Brown, is pretty involved with Landon in a lot of Huffman racing. So I'm a good friend of Travis's, and that was kind of how that connection started. You know, the other part of it is there was a lot of excitement. You know, I've wanted to do this for such a long time. I feel like I could get in the car and you know, do a good job despite not really having any experience. So there was a lot of excitement, a lot of nerves, but it was surreal to kind of wrap up everything that, you know, I've been able to do the last couple of years and kind of cap it off with another brand new experience like this. First thing is you don't want to go out and tear it up. You know, the one difference in iRacing is that there's no reset button. And so, you know, the one thing I wanted to do is I wanted to warm myself up to it. I wasn't going to go out and go, you know, 100% on the first couple of laps. So kind of just got comfortable with everything and feeling out where everything is, what full throttle, you know, felt like. And, you know, that's another thing, just getting used to everything in the seat and kind of getting used to what everything feels like.
The great thing about iRacing was just the bumps. Like I knew right when I got here, like there's a big bump in the center 1 and 2. Like right after that bump, you pick up the throttle.
Yeah.
Like that hooked up. Basically, as soon as I got comfortable with the car, like I understood that instantly. Like how to get up off the corner, that was largely through iRacing. Like even though I was kind of slow early on in the day, like I felt like my line in 3 and 4, at least off of 4, was pretty consistent the whole day.
We gotta work on our restarts.
Yeah. Restarts are the first one was slow, and then the second one I spun the tires. So that's gonna be a trouble spot.
Experiencing a whole race weekend was really probably my favorite part of it. You know, showing up at the track, getting everything unloaded, and trying to kind of be as sharp as you can all day. It's a long day. Any racetrack you go to, no matter what class you're running, you're there for a long time, working on everything, making sure everything's okay, and kind of figuring out how everything's going to go. Once we're out there pacing and you got a spotter in your ear talking you through, you almost just don't have time to think about it. You know, you're trying to scrub your tires, you're trying to focus on getting a really good restart, which, you know, somebody for me that hasn't really driven a stick shift a whole lot, you're really focused on getting through the gears. And, you know, as soon as we dropped the green flag, got a pretty decent start, and we had a really good car. The car's way better than what I was driving it at, but, you know, for somebody who's brand new, that's to be expected. But it was just fun because we just unloaded really fast. Right off the drop of the green, we're picking off cars, making a couple passes, racing forward, you know, trying to battle with guys and figure out how to set up passes and get to the inside and work on, you know, cars. I know the 2 car I was battling with side by side, you know, he's pinching me down and, you know, we're almost hitting off the corner. And just once I was able to kind of get by him, work on him for a couple laps and make a pass, I queued up on the radio and said, "This is freaking awesome," I guess is the way I'll put it here. But yeah, the whole team was laughing about that. It was a lot of fun, and I know everybody was so disappointed, but I still got out of the car with a huge smile on my face. You know, being able to have that much fun, you know, it really didn't dampen my spirits at all that we weren't able to finish. The team was distraught, but I was on cloud 9. I had a blast, and you know, it's just one of those things. It's just racing. That's one of those things that you just can't control. When we broke, there was definitely a lot of discussion on, them wanting to kind of finish what we started. We were able to talk to a couple of partners to see what we could put together, and, it came up pretty quickly. About a day after the race, we had something in place to where they wanted to bring me back, and I was able to secure everything I needed to make that happen. So it was about a day later, this planned thing that was supposed to be only one race was going to turn into two. This is where kind of the previous week's experience really kicked in, is, we were able to race forward. We had a car that I think was better than where we qualified. So I was able to learn a lot riding in traffic, figuring out what the other lines of the other cars were running, because I didn't really get that in a lot of the testing and practicing that I did. So it was helpful to be behind those guys, figure out, where they were weak, where they were strong, where they were better than me. So was able to make a pass on the start, chased down the 86, and we made a little bit of contact and had to save the car. And after that, I got to figure out what it's like to drive with a right rear tire that's practically on fire. So that was that was fun as well. That to see that if you light up the tires just like in iRacing, it's you're having to chase it the rest of the race. Before I started my first race, Dale Jr. told me there's a lot you can learn in your first race or your first couple of races, but you can't learn anything if you're not out there. So from the very beginning, that was really the whole purpose of it. The whole point was to make sure that we got to the end, we learned everything we can, and if we want to do it in the future, to be able to take everything from this experience and build on it. I hope I'm not the last one. I want to see these guys that are running here tonight and other iRacers. I'd love to see them get the opportunity, or heck, even go outrun me. That'd be awesome to see. I think this was a good litmus test of somebody who truly has zero real life experience. Could they go out and be respectable in a real race car? And I think we got the answer for that. So I hope that moving forward there are more opportunities for a lot of these guys who are running in this Coke series tonight, or other top sim racers out there, that they realize, like, hey, it's not too far off if you can market yourself and work with a lot of these companies and have that skill, that there may be an opportunity out there for you. So I hope that this is the beginning of more opportunities for a lot of people who are strictly sim racers and haven't had that chance to do it. I hope this kind of opens the door for a lot of those guys.
What a great piece. Shout out to our technical director, Cisco. Brandon, I even saw a Dale Jr. Cameo in there. What a cool story about our friend Blake.
Yeah, I love the first time he got out of the race car. He was like Ricky Bobby, like, what do I do with my hands? That was cool. But jokes aside, whatever. The amount of great drivers that have raced at Hickory, just for Blake to say that he's done that is just so cool. Just all the partners that stuck behind him to do that. What a cool experience for Blake. I'm jealous, man. I want to go out there and do that myself.
Absolutely. And Blake's going to join us here in just a few minutes. Before he gets here, we're going to check in with the other driver from Space Station Gaming, Kyle Peddle. He joins us. We heard from his teammate Alan earlier. Kyle joining us now. Kyle, let's start it out. First of all, why'd you join Space Station Racing?
All right, so I joined Space Station Racing because I had a bunch of teammates last year with Malik Ray, and was pretty much on talking terms at that point with Vicente Salas, and they were saying nothing but good things with Space Station. So when Gabe and Jake and those guys reached out to me last year, or I guess at the beginning of the signing season, I couldn't say no to those guys.
I know for you guys, this is not the season you plan for the team nor yourself. So what is the goal now? How do you focus?
Realistically, the goal is just to run races when I can run races. Like I know you're going to touch on it a little bit later with work, but work is just, it's really kind of changed the dynamic of my life again. It's kind of gone back to what I was before. Well, I guess after I left iRacing and kind of got back into my career. So now my career is kind of coming back around. Which unfortunately, like, I feel bad for the guys at Space Station and all the sponsors that I've been a part of, because I haven't been able to showcase my talent, as well as not being able to showcase the sponsors and what they want from me. And it makes me feel really bad, but it just, at this point, is just running races, see if we can at least get a win or get solid finishes, so at least the Space Station guys are at least represented somewhat.
Yeah, you mentioned your job there, and we highlighted it during the last race at Worldwide Technology Raceway. But tell us again, tell the viewers again, what exactly is your day job?
So I'm a first officer for Porter Airlines. I fly a Q400, which is a 78-seater turboprop, and it's multi-engine. I've been with Porter for 5 years now. I kind of got into flying ever since I was really little. It didn't matter what it was. I always went to the airport to go watch planes take off and land, and kind of that's just how my love and my passion for flying came about. I've got in over 2,100 hours in the air now. I've just been a kid living his dream. Just got into flying and it stuck, and I never really wanted to leave it. So it's kind of cool where one day, as you can say, oh, well, I've been to New York today, or I was over in Washington, or I was here, I was there. And, you know, a lot of people don't really get that kind of that scene of what it's like to be in the airlines.
That is such a unique story. Is there any correlation between flying a plane and sim racing?
Actually, a lot of correlation, believe it or not. My hands and feet, my reaction time, being able to assess the situation of what's going on before it's even happening. Like, I definitely take a lot of what I do in my day-to-day life and I put it in sim racing, and I take a lot of what I do in my sim racing and I do it in my day-to-day life. You know, I was fortunate that over COVID, with coming into the sim racing, it was allowing me to keep my hands and feet where I needed them to be for when I got back into the airplane. I was able to not really miss a beat in what I needed to do.
Thanks for joining us, Kyle. And then just another reminder, everyone watching, I mean, the unique stories we have in the field tonight. Love hitting up and learning more about the drivers. This week it was for Space Station Gaming. But let's bring all our friends back. Brandon, you were here before, and we're bringing in our friend who we just learned a lot about, Blake McCandless. Blake, what a story, what a cool opportunity. Thank you for sharing that story, first of all, and just congratulations. That had to be so much fun.
Well, thank you, Alan. And again, I want to say a thank you to Cisco Scaramouche. I hadn't seen that piece yet, and he did a spectacular job putting that all together. But yeah, what a life-changing experience that was. I had so much fun doing it, and you know, thanks to Layden Huffman Racing, Jason Smith Racing, everybody who made that possible, because it was an experience of a lifetime.
Good stuff there. Good stuff now. Our friend Camille not here tonight. This is her favorite segment. We're checking out the Twitter rig. So, Blake, you're going to help us out. Take a look at what we're here, presented by Logitech. You send us in what you're racing on, and we're going to give it a shout-out. Let's take a look. Blake, you go first.
All right. We got this setup here from AJ Green. I tell you what, the water bottle is very accessible in this one. That's the first thing that pops out to me.
Yeah, good stuff. I love the die-cast, too.
Yeah.
Brandon.
Look at all those wonderful die casts there. This one's a little wider here, Alan.
Wow. Check that out.
This one's so clean.
That's like your screen, Brandon.
Yeah, this is super clean. I love that one a lot. Whoa.
Oh, man.
Somebody's
a streamer here.
Dude, this guy is either a streamer or a Thanos fan. There's a lot of purple going on right now.
Collect all the stones. Love it.
All right, is that some PVC pipe right there?
Hey, whatever it takes,
outlines
right?
everything. Yeah, wow.
McKinney Racing, love it. I love the innovation. That is an engineer right there.
Safety first, guys. I love the key. I love when people do this with their keyboards. I wish I had this because it's just so accessible. Like if you need a pit and you need to make an adjustment, it's right there. That's a great setup right there.
Wait, can you type one-handed? That seems tough.
Yeah.
Oh, good stuff. Another triple screen. I love the big screen monitors. As much wraparound as you can. I love the shifter there. That's great. That's
What's
good
the
setup.
red button for? Is that like an ejector?
All right, so you got your gaming computer and your PC in this one right here, the ultra wide.
Make some content, do some editing or something there. Oh, look at this.
Wow.
Look at all those stream decks. My goodness, the audio boards. This is fancy right here.
Wow. Oh, I just love the colors. I love the pop out there. That's good stuff. You guys
that is a
appreciate
man cave of a rig, if that could be a description. And of course, the one great thing is that you don't need all this fancy stuff to have a rig. It's great, but you could be like me and just strap a wheel to a desk of a wheel that's 13 years old and still race with it. So there's all types of rigs.
Yeah, and make sure tweet us at eNASCAR. Thanks to Logitech for for sponsoring that every week. It's one of our favorite segments. We love seeing what you are racing on. It is time, though, to talk about the racing tonight at Nashville Superspeedway. Blake, you are our special guest. You're going to bring us through a lap at this wonderful track tonight. What should we know?
Well, we certainly are, as we'll take a look here at the Nashville Superspeedway. We're going to take a look overhead and see exactly this racetrack, one of the more unique racetracks that we go to on this schedule. It's referred to as almost a mile and a half that races like a short track. It's a mile and a third, 14 degrees of banking, was relatively recently open, and of course was added to the NASCAR Cup Series schedule in 2021. Had a great crowd last year, should expect no different here in Lebanon, Tennessee. And we're going to go ahead and get a ride-along here with Zach Novak, a former eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series champion. As you see him right there, very long, kind of a long dog leg here at this racetrack. You want to get right along the bottom, right on those 14 degrees of banking, and knowing when to exit, to track out to that wall. Very difficult at this racetrack, particularly with these next-gen cars that like to slide a lot in the middle of the corner. Going to get right to the bottom. No marking there on the apron. It's very easy to clip. Toughest angle is probably off at turn number 4, and you're going to see drivers get beneath that apron on the tri-oval as they complete a lap.
That looks like an awesome lap. Looks like an awesome race tonight. And we need to predict who's going to win because we have our season-long point standings, Blake, and you're going to do Camille's pick tonight because she's been dominating us. You can see the standings there. 237 points. Brandon's catching her, though. Brandon, I got to give you kudos, man. You're coming.
Yeah. And you know, last year we had Jimmy Mullis win the All-Star race at this very racetrack at Nashville. And that's why I am not picking Jimmy Mullis. I'm going to pick Graham Bolin because he won last week. He also did good in that race last year. He is going to go out there and spank him tonight.
Interesting. Back-to-back for Graham Bolin. Wouldn't that be something? I'm going to go with the driver who just showed us how to get around this place, Zach Novak. I just like his momentum, right? You look at his last few races. He's just been going up and up, top 5s, top 2s. It is time for him to get a win. We're getting to that point in the season. You got to get that win, right? The pressure is on. I think Zach Novak can do it tonight. Blake, who did Camille pick?
Well, if history tells us anything, this might be the right pick tonight, and that is Steven Wilson, driver number 17, really high up in the point standings, has been knocking on the door so many times this year. Steven Wilson, Camille's pick tonight here in the number 10 machine, going to victory lane.
All right, we're trying to get...
I'm sorry to cut in, but we got some breaking news. We could be all wrong because for you junior motorsports fans, Briar LaPrade has qualified on the pole tonight for tonight's race.
All right.
Nice. And tell me about this track. One thing about it is it's concrete. So, Blake, what is that, the feel like? What is that different? What is that variable like for the drivers tonight?
Well, I think you think back to what we had at Dover, this track, and you even think of the resin that they put down. The groove's going to widen out a little bit. There's not a lot of banking for this racetrack, so getting that track position like Briar has, you just said he was on the pole, it's a great place to be with a series rookie. We've seen in a lot of these flatter tracks that getting that clean air, getting out front, so important at these types of racetracks.
Blake, love your analysis. Appreciate learning more about you tonight and looking forward to your call of the race. Brandon, it's been a great show. I know Camille wasn't here, but I think we steered the ship pretty good tonight.
Yeah,
so it's been fun having you on. Great show, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Countdown to Green. The green flag for Nashville Superspeedway is coming up. Appreciate you joining us. Make sure you enjoy tonight's race from Nashville Superspeedway.
Here in the number 23 car could be about to make history. Down the back straight, pacing away for the 70 car. Check up.
They say that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with one single step. But maybe it begins with one single start. Turn, bump, grind, pit, pass, win,
That's crazy what happens on the last lap here.
and celebration. In NASCAR, that journey starts here. I am the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. I am NASCAR.
This is virtual racing with real-life stakes.
My expectation of making this championship for it.
Ray Alfala, it's for sure a threat to the competition. My number one goal is to get back in victory lane.
I'm gonna just go out there and control what I can control.
The road to $300,000 runs through the volunteer state and into the Music City, where tonight from iRacing's virtual Nashville Superspeedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to round 10 of the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Well, alongside Blake McCandless, my name is Evan Pasoko. So happy to have you with us for a 170-mile-per-hour line dance this afternoon. And Blake, I'll tell you what, for the first time in Coke Series history, we're going eNASCAR racing here in Nashville. So exciting to see another new track join the calendar. Listen, I had to tick it, get it out of the way. There's going to be plenty more puns where that came from, but also should be a plenty exciting race tonight.
Oh, it should be, Evan. This racetrack, we saw it last year in the NASCAR Cup Series when it debuted, put on an incredible race. We even saw in the All-Star race last year in this series. Wasn't an official competition, but still came out in these next-gen cars and gave a great preview. Obviously, a lot has been learned about the cars since then. It's been implemented into the sim, and of course, drivers have had a lot more time to get used to it and have spent a lot of time preparing for a track that's very, very technical.
And should be a great start to the NASCAR race week, as always. With that being said, though, we're ready to get set to go racing tonight. Let's hand things off to Justin Nunley down trackside for the most famous words in motorsports.
What's up, y'all? Justin Danger Nunley here. I am so excited to be y'all's Grand Marshal for today. Listen, drivers, start your engines!
And we take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid. Fittingly enough, the junior motorsports driver out of Manchester, Tennessee, Brian LaPrade, on pole position for his hometown race. He'll be alongside the Charlotte Phoenix number 43 of Colin Keister on row 1. Zach Novak in his Rise Esports fueled by Sudoku number 5 will start third tonight, alongside the Wood Motorsports 24 of Cody Bias, that team headed by Kyle Long. The second Charlotte Phoenix entry, that's the 48 of Graham Boland, going to be on the inside of row 3, alongside the Williams Esports number 20 of Donovan Strauss. Back on road number 4, 7th tonight goes to the Space Station Racing 55 of Alan DeBose. He'll be joined by Austin Dillon's entry, number 33, Taylor Hurst for Team Dillon Esports. And on row 5, it is the Stuart Haas Esports 41 of Dylan Duvall, alongside the second of the Rise Esports fueled by Sudoku entries, Jimmy Mullis is P10.
Starting on the inside of row number 6, a nod to a new partner in Duracell for the Williams Esports entry of Vicente Salas. He'll roll off 11th. 12th will go to Malik Ray. 13th, Caden Honeycutt trying to get back into the server at this moment for Roush Fenway Keselowski alongside Casey Kerwin in 14th. 15th goes to Parker Retzlaff, the other RFK entry, directly behind his teammate, as well as Michael Guest
for Jim Beaver Esports in 16th. Femi Olot, your Daytona winner, in 17th for Clint Boyer Racing. 18th, not accustomed to starting this far back. We'll see if Nick Ottinger can move forward for William Byron Esports. And the number 15 of Blake Reynolds for Jim Beaver rolls off 19th, with Corey Vincent to his outside for Team Dillon in 20th.
Halfway home, back at row number 11, the other of the Super Dallas entries, that's the 10 of Stephen Wilson on row 11. He'll be alongside the E-Racer 42 of Derek Bordeaux. Row number 12, we'll see the Wood Brothers, number 21 of Garrett Lowe, line up alongside the Elliott Sadler Esports 31 of Garrett Means. 25th tonight is Michael Conti, his Junior Motorsports teammates on pole. He's 25th tonight alongside the 23-11-23 Toyota of Mitchell DeYoung. Dylan Alta will start 40th for his Latardi Sports team, and Ryan Luza will rep the set for Xset, the 4 car starting in position number 28. Colin Bowden, the second of the E-Racer machines, his number 69 will start 29th, and Bobby Zelensky will roll his Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota from P30.
Space Station Gaming's Kyle Peddle will roll off 31st. 32nd is for William Byron Esports. That is Logan Clampett. Brian Mercurio for Latardi Esports will roll off in 33rd. Liam Brotherton slipped up a little bit on his qualifying lap. He'll roll off 34th for ESE. 35th is the other 2311 entry of Keegan Leahy. 36th, the final driver to take time for the Wood Brothers was Blade Witt. And then 3 drivers did not put a time in qualifying. Ray Alfala for Joe Gibbs Racing. Nick Shelton in the 14 car, as well as Matt Busa. Awfully strong runs for him. He's going to have to come from the back of the field. And Derek Justice for iRacing Motorsports rounds out 40 cars that make it out onto the grid. It's been a while since we've had all 40 compete, whether it's job obligations or what have you.
It is a full field here tonight. I want to welcome in the third member of tonight's broadcast team, James Pike. James is going to be on pit road with us tonight. He is also dialed up with our pole sitter, his first career eNASCAR pole to Briar LaPrade. James.
His first career pole and his first career start at his hometown track from not too far away in Manchester. Evan, you mentioned it, right at the top of the grid. But, Briar, how excited are you to have your Junior Motorsports machine up the front? How excited are you to race at this track tonight?
Yeah, I'm just excited to be here in general. It's just a hometown track. Obviously, the hometown kid put it on pole. The McConey setup shop speed out of this Junior Motorsports Chevrolet was pretty crazy. Driver couldn't even believe it. I still can't believe I'm even talking to you guys about, sitting on pole. It's pretty crazy to me, but yeah, this track means a lot to me. Obviously the job's not done. We got 100 long laps, so hopefully we can get the job done, lead some laps, get some good TV time and all that good stuff. But yeah, just super excited, ready to get going, and hopefully we get the job done.
Really, really, really big night coming, I think, for the rookie, Evan.
And he's got the best starting spot for a sprint this afternoon in Lebanon, Tennessee. Blake, walk us through it with a look at a ASUS race analysis.
Pretty standard here for our ASUS race analysis. 100 laps once again here for 133 miles in this mile and a third super speedway. Pit road speed going to be a little bit cautious if you're getting on the binders, down to 45 miles an hour. Pit lane delta going to net you about 24 or 26 seconds. Of course, as we have all season long, 3 sets of Goodyear Eagles available on pit lane, as well as a little bit further down. You see that fuel window a little bit longer here at a shorter racetrack. 66 to 70 laps, so not going to be too much of a concern unless around lap 33 or so we get a yellow.
And as always, with each passed week, we get closer and closer. The magic number is 5. 5 races to go until the playoffs. And we're happy that you're spending your Tuesday night with us. Pace car off and in. Field in the hands of the 88 Chevrolet of Briar LaPrade. As for the first time in eNASCAR history, we say, let's go racing at Nashville. Side by side for the race lead into 1. Keister tries to hang on. Top side can't do it. Caution already. Wrecking behind your race leaders. And the 7. It looks like Malik Ray at the center of it all.
Malik Ray up there. Looks like one of the Williams Esports entries is wrapped up in this as well. Somebody got a little bit loose, an aggressive move early. One even went on its lid, and the initial contact, Evan, between Casey Kerwin and Vicente Salas, and already before we can get out of turn number 1, about 3 or 4 cars relatively destroyed before we can even get half a lap in.
Well, they were tightly packed in, headed down and off to turn number 1, and as we'll see, it went from 2 wide to 4 wide quicker than anybody could have prepared for that, and admittedly, I'm not sure 4 wide's really going to work here at the virtual Nashville Superspeedway. The racetrack itself wide enough, but the groove is kind of center to low, and watch this as we go into turn number 1. You see Malik right there, center your screen in the ring. Everybody's 2x2, but as they get off to 1, he's going to look to the inside. He's going to get underneath the Mullis, atop Salas, and then right there underneath him, the 95 of Kerwin got underneath the Duracell number 19 to Salas. He snapped up the hill, and it was a huge hit that also collected the 33 of Taylor Hurst.
That looked like a little bit of a checkup there. Salas may have gotten into the back of Dylan Duvall, and by the time he tried to cut down, they were 4 wide. I don't think Kerwin was really trying to make an aggressive move, just trying to keep your momentum going. They're only about going 135 miles an hour at that point, not even up to full song. But, man, just wrong place, wrong time. Jimmy Mullis, feel awful for that entry. Nothing that the 33 machine could do there, just gets tagged in the left rear. So a very tough start for these drivers. However, up front, Briar LaPrade, the first rookie to lead a lap in the Coke Series this season.
Impressive stuff. Of course, we talked about how fitting it was. The lone driver that calls himself a Tennessean in the field here, and he's got the great starting position, which meant he was ahead of all of this. There's the onboard perspective through the middle. Malik Ray up and over. And that is how Michael Guest and his big green egg Ford Mustang was able to survive as we go back down trackside with James Pike.
With Malik Ray, who was right in the heart of all that, Malik, was there anything you felt like you could have done to avoid that?
No. I saw Casey go underneath me going into turn 1, and then I knew that I was on the inside of Jimmy, and I was fine with that. And then Casey tried to go underneath Vicente, and he made it 4 wide, and Vicente just came down on top of Casey. And that's really all that was. I don't really blame anyone for that. I don't blame Casey for going 4 wide, because, I mean, he had a big run, so.
Is it almost a case where it happened so early and there was so much going on there that you're almost maybe not as frustrated as you would be if this incident happened a little bit later in the event?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like I said, like if I can't win these races, I don't really care why I end up anyway, so I'm not really too upset about it.
Certainly not the run that Malik Ray wanted tonight, guys.
Yeah, it's a tough break. You saw the 7 was up and on his lid. He certainly got the worst of all of that. Salas, Ottinger already a lap down. Also, Caden Honeycutt never took to the green flag. So after all of that, we are left with 36 cars on the lead lap. Blake, talking about Briar LaPrade, an interesting thing that I found, of course, it's his first career pole and career start number 10. He is the 42nd different driver all time in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series to secure a pole position. That is a stat that is harder to achieve than a race win. 42 different pole sitters all time compared to 60 different race winners. So one checked off. Certainly Briar LaPrade would like to go for the twofer here tonight as the lights go out on top of the pace car.
Again, I was surprised, Evan, just reading that stat, that he is the first rookie to lead a lap this season. We talked about at the very beginning of the season how difficult these cars were to handle, how it was going to favor some of the series veterans. So LaPrade, after a shaky start to the year, has really started to come into his own. That junior motorsports entry really starting to find his footing in this series, and not only led a lap, didn't do it through strategy, he's doing it by sitting on the pole. Obviously he has a good piece tonight, and we'll see if that 88 can stay up front.
And of course, if you want all the latest news and updates from the world of eNASCAR, then sign up today. Scan the QR code on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and stay in the loop with iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR, as we continue the road to $300,000 again later and later into this 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series season. You're going to want to make sure you're up to date on the championship and all of that other information. So an early yellow means we're under the caution. We're going to put lap number 5 behind us and new restart procedures in effect. Briar LaPrade, the control car, has to wait for the restart zone off of 4. Barney the flag man drops the green flag, and we are back underway as the 88 car rockets to a 4-car lead off to turn 1.
And again, that's a new restart zone that was recently put into the sim at all of the NASCAR Cup Series tracks. So a little bit different here as the leaders. You have to manage getting going in the restart zone. Looks like Colin Keister able to get a great jump. Novak, not the restart he would have wanted, as both Charlotte Phoenix entries look like they may go by him.
Hey, they're looking to go right now in second and third position. How many times this year have we seen the Charlotte Phoenix duo have good runs? And right now, Keister and Bolin 2-3 on the racetrack right now, taking advantage of Zach Novak, who was slid back to the number 4 spot. You can see that beautiful guitar-based paint scheme on that Sunoco Chevrolet in 4th. So great to see Sunoco Racing so involved in this series with the team, of course, over at Rise Esports, fueled by Sunoco, but a little bit of Nashville flair on both of their cars here this afternoon. Single filing out inside of the top 5, back in 10th on back, though. Tons of side-by-side action, and it's the King's Hawaiian Ford Mustang of Parker Retzlaff clear on the 24 car behind of Cody Bias. So Bias slides back to P10. You got Michael Guest funny with the 79 of Femiola back there as well. Vincent Bordeaux and others watching on as there's about 3 or 4 cars stuck up on the outside while everybody else rides the bottom.
And Michael Guest right here trying to go by. Right behind them, you see the Esport machine. I believe that's of Derek Bordeaux, throwing a block down there on the apron, and that's one of the more interesting parts of this racetrack, Evan, that off of turn number 4, you really have a couple of options, whether you want to stay up on the track, you want to use that flat apron, but it's changed a little bit with these next-gen cars. That diffuser, they already run them so low to the ground. Very easy in the tracks we've seen where you use that apron to perhaps lose a little bit of the car if it's going to bottom out. Very difficult to control in those conditions, as Femiolot able to get clear and move up into the 11th spot.
When you can see the bright green on that number 79 machine of Femiola, you can also see it on Nicholas Shelton. That is kind of Shelton's signature neon green color that iRacing Cisco Scardoza painted on the 14 machine, and then our director Drew Adamson wanted to toss it onto the 79 as well. So you got some Shelton green throughout the field out of both Shelton and Olot, and Olot running in P12 at the moment, Shelton in 34th, so looking to catch up and get some more green in the top half of the field here. As all the way towards the front, you can see about a top 4 breakaway, still chasing race leader Briar LaPrade, and then a group of 3 behind those lead 4, Duval, Bose, and Strauss, kind of maybe a half a second back or so in the running order, but LaPrade seems pretty comfortable through the opening 11.
LaPrade, those first 3 or 4 laps after this restart, was the fastest car on the racetrack, but these last couple, it has really been Graham Bolin and Zach Novak who have started to chase down these front 4. So at least early on, we have a long ways to go in this race, but at least early on, once we start to get a couple of laps on these tires, that 48 car, that number 5, of Colin Keister and Graham Bolin, respectively, or Graham Bolin and Zach Novak, I should say, at least cars that I'm going to keep my eye on, because they look to get through the corner very, very well right now. Not too affected by the dirty air that's being put on their nose.
And of course, it's going to be an exciting week of racing with NASCAR in Nashville. It starts here tonight with the Coke Series. Of course, it continues with a triple header this weekend at the track. And happy to bring in the track president of Nashville Superspeedway, Eric Moses, onto the broadcast. Eric, appreciate your time. Of course, we're all looking forward to being in Nashville this weekend. And anytime we have a special guest on the show, we always like to ask, for those who may not be familiar with your role within the Speedway, what do you do as a track president?
My responsibilities are to make certain that our race weekend goes as well as our fans deserve and expect. And that really, frankly, covers all aspects of executing the event. Everything from our ticket sales and ticket staff, our operations team, our marketing, communications team, ensuring that we're interfacing with our stakeholders, whether that's the broadcast partners at NBC, the folks at NASCAR, to ensure our competition has everything that they need, the teams, to ensure that they have what they need, as well as the various other stakeholders, including our public officials, public safety folks, and everybody who really contributes to making a NASCAR weekend what it is.
And we know there's a lot of history with NASCAR in the state of Tennessee and Middle Tennessee, but having the Cup Series there for the last 2 seasons, what makes Nashville such a good destination for NASCAR?
Really great history with the sport, dating back to the 50s, mostly down at the, on a NASCAR level and on a Cup level or formerly a Grand National level down at the Fairground Speedway. So many folks, whether you're talking about Cuckoo Martin, Sterling Martin, DW, all these folks who have had, Bobby Hamilton, who have had success here in Tennessee and in Middle Tennessee in particular in this sport. It's just a beloved sport here, and I think having gone so long until last year without a Cup Series race here has only made the love of this sport and the desire for it and the appreciation for it grow. And we're just so pleased that we were able to do such a good job last year and present a great race, 3 great races, but particularly our Cup race. And people just love it. We're a southern town. This sport has grown out of the American South. I think we share roots with the sport, and people like fast here. I mean, hey, you see it on the highways. We have lots of highways here in Nashville. People like to drive fast. They all think they're NASCAR drivers here in Middle Tennessee, and so every once in a while they stop and go watch the professionals do it.
And of course, we're enjoying eNASCAR action here at the Speedway here tonight. What does it mean for you to see Nashville Superspeedway on a platform like iRacing?
We're in some ways a new track, and so any and everything that we can do to get fans better acquainted with our track, whether it's its configuration, whether it's some of the fact that we're the longest all concrete track on the circuit, the different things about how the track sets up and even the way it looks. We want to do that. And so if iRacing is a part of that, we're certainly happy to be a part of that. And for folks to see how our track runs in the virtual world.
Well, certainly we appreciate your time, Eric. Best of luck to you and your entire staff for this weekend as we join the Race It Action Live, and it is side by side amongst the Charlotte Phoenix teammates, not once, but twice. LaPrade gets moved out of the way, and Graham Bolin pushing his way past Colin Keister. He'll go to the race lead at lap number 20.
And remember, these front 3 battled in person at the Charlotte Phoenix Arena, as Bolin able to go to the leads. Keister and even Briar LaPrade was there as well on stage, so you'd think a good rapport amongst these top 3. Keister staying on that outside line. Now Novak with an opportunity, but yeah, Graham Bolin bullying his teammate out of the way. You can see the reaction there. Keister still trying to get back down to the bottom. Graham Bolin looks completely unfazed by that.
He doesn't seem to care all that much, and he was able to beat Keister in the battle for the race lead. Keister slides back to 3rd. There's the onboard look with both of those Charlotte Phoenix entries. LaPrade has found himself back in the middle now, back to P2. Novak watching on from 4th. Of course, talking with track president Eric Moses, if you want to enjoy the Ally 400 this weekend, that's 5 p.m. Eastern Time this Sunday, June the 26th on NBC or on radio with our friends at the Motor Racing Network. So make sure to tune in for an exciting week of action in Nashville, and watching the exciting action here virtually. Alan Bowes is the best of the rest right now in 5th. He's about 1.2 seconds off of the race leader, and you can see the interval 7/10 to the next car for him, but Strauss is a 10th off. Duvall's a 10th off. Retzlaff right there as well, so a good 4-car battle, 5th through 8th right now, trying to close the gap to those race leaders.
Right on board here with Donovan Strauss. You could see the bronze hood, as we mentioned a little bit in our pre-race discussion there, that they have a new sponsor for Williams Esports and Duracell. Great to see them jump on board and support their efforts, and they picked a good time to do it. Donovan Strauss and Bowes both faster than all 4 of your race leaders. That time they were in the 30.8s, your leaders in the 30.9s, so they have started to make up some ground here. Bowes and Strauss working in tandem, not battling each other right now, but they are slowly starting to reel in these race leaders.
And I wonder if those battles are an effect on the lap times. You mentioned the leaders in the 9s, this group in the 8s, behind them, Bias and Kerwin 9th and 10th, put down 30.7s last lap. So some of the slowest cars in the top 10 are the cars at the very front of the field, James.
Yeah, not every day that you've got a NASCAR Xfinity Series driver atop the box for you, but that's what Brian LaPrade finds himself in. He's got our Motorsports Anthony Alfredo in his ear, and Anthony's been very vocal, almost coaching him, not so much spouting him, reminding him to wrap the inside of the corners and are low and straight, keep your left front peaked out, and just keep everybody in your way, reminding him to let Colin Keister burn his stuff up, because the more you run behind somebody, the more you're going to burn off your tires. Also, when Bolin and Keister got together a little bit for the race lead, not as much reaction as you would expect, but Bolin did let out a "whoa, buddy," so might have caught him off guard there a little bit, but he may have his hands full here with the Pratt. In either case, this top four are all really, really close and not really separating themselves from one another.
And it's interesting, LaPrade got reeled into by these guys, but he's not letting Bolin get away. So the battle for the race lead to carry on for quite some time. A little bit further back down the road, away to 28th position, you'll find the number 51, a Virtual Racing School Toyota of Ray Alfalla. Up 9, that's good, but it's only up 9 to 28th. He's got some work to do. Keegan Leahy right there as well. Blake, these are some big names running right now in the high 20s.
And I think we're seeing right now just how difficult it is to try and get through traffic. We haven't had a lot of drivers who have made their way forward, aside from that accident that parked 5 cars, Ottinger, Hurst, Mullis, Ray, Salas, who were put behind by that earlier incident. Also of note, Caden Honeycutt not able to fix the technical gremlins that he had, so another week that he wasn't able to start. Unfortunate to see for him as you ride on board right there, or at least get a look at the 31 of Garrett Maines.
Well, check out this perspective courtesy of Garrett Maines. How about a virtual helmet cam for the driver of the 31 machine, running in 19th position right now, and got a car to the inside. You'll see on his leftmost monitor that bright green 18 machine of Bobby Zelensky is going to appear as they race side by side down the front straightaway. There he is. There's the added advantage to 3 monitors, because if he only had the one in the center, he wouldn't see Bobby till now. So that setup gives him a unique perspective of who's around him, and this camera gives us a unique perspective behind the wheel as Michael Conti puts a slide job on him off of 2.
I was about to say the setup for me is just what you see in the center there, so a little bit nice to have that information, but unfortunately for Maines, you can see a lot of cars. 3 cars went by on the inside that lap, so Maines reeling right now as you can even see physically how much his head moves when he just hits the apron in the sim. Imagine, that impacts a lot more even in a real race car, but Maines unfortunately falling back a number of positions these last couple of laps. Looks really loose. You can see the counter steer in that wheel.
It means the second-year driver out of Virginia for Elliott Sadler Esports in his number 31 Chevrolet Accessories and ChevyLiners.com Camaro. I'm going to try to make up for some of the spots lost. He was +5 on the night when we checked in with him. With those 3 cars gone through, that has gone down to a +2. So Garrett Maines is going to try to pick back up on that as we race to 1/3 distance in tonight's Nashville 133. A little bit closer to the front of the field, you can see some patriotic colors on board the 3 of Corey Vincent, some red, white, and blue in his number 3 as he holds on right now to position number 12. He's up 8. That's a healthy dose of positions gained thus far.
A very healthy dose for him, and even you look a couple of spots back, Ryan Luza up 13. He's the biggest mover we've had in the field thus far, and is running laps that I think could put him up in about that 6th or 7th position despite being in traffic. So you can see that number 9 right there holding steady, that number 3, but also Ryan Luza, a car that in the midst of this battle looks really, really good in traffic.
He is looking in a real good spot, and here's perspective on board. You're looking off at the back of the 3 of Corey Vincent with our Coca-Cola onboard camera. Been a good middle part of the year for Corey Vincent. Finished in the top 20 the last 6 races consecutively, one of only 2 drivers to do so. Up front, though, Graham Bolin pulling away from this mess. We're 1/3 of the way home from Nashville.
Here in the number 23 car could be about to make history. Down the back straight, pacing away for the 70 car.
Check up, check up, check up. Watch him have that walk on the track. There's a reputation on the track, being built this very minute. One that embraces the crazy.
Oh my goodness!
The fast. And the unpredictable. That looks into the eye of the competition and screams, bring it. Loud enough so the whole world will see it coming. I am the NASCAR Xfinity Series. I am NASCAR.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and by ASUS, the official PC and monitor of eNASCAR, and by Logitech. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Well, no need to adjust your dials there, and while some of us have used the summer break, Blake, to add a real-world race car driver to their resume, I have not added 2-time Daytona 500 champion to my resume since our last time out. That's Dale Earnhardt Jr. joining us and helping us out, bringing us back in from commercial. Dale, of course, a team owner in this series through Junior Motorsports, a huge supporter as well of the sim community. So big thanks to Dale for helping us out with that, and he'll be helping us out with some parts on the broadcast here this afternoon. So that's super cool, Blake, and a really exciting race we've got going on. We saw it there on eNASCAR nonstop. They about tried to wreck each other in a battle for 5th or 6th or so, and Briar LaPrade, who was sitting cozy through the opening 18 laps of this race, has trickled all the way down now to P8, maybe more, because here comes Cody Bias.
Well, first off, I think I could listen to Dale say the word ASUS about all night, but otherwise not going so well here for his driver, who started on the pole and has done a great job up to this point, but unfortunately Briar LaPrade just having a really difficult time here. You could see really loose after being in that clean air. He'll slot down and lose another spot as he goes back to 9th, as we get a nice little smooth drone cam here with Steven Wilson. Of course, that was Camille's pick to win this race, and for good measure has gained 10 spots since the drop of the green flag. And of course, you can see right behind him Blake Reynolds, another solid run for that 15 car side by side with Corey Vincent.
Yes, so side by side for that spot. And Blake, you talk about those countdown to green picks. I remember once upon a time back a couple of years ago, they used to let me and Tim embarrass ourselves with our picks. So thankfully I don't have that pressure anymore. But there's the picks from earlier tonight. Of course, you picked on behalf of Camille with Steven Wilson. Alan picked Zach Novak, who's in 3rd right now. And Brandon Cattell picking Graham Bolin, your current race leader, who's led the last 24 laps consecutively.
I was about to say, this is going to be an upset here if Alan and Brandon can can pull this off here to the end. Now, of course, we are in that period, Evan, where a lot in this race could change. You can make it to the end on fuel here from this point, but green flag pit stops, I would imagine, as we approach the halfway point, going to be just around the corner. When do you want to pit? Who's going to play some strategy? We saw how that played out at Worldwide Technology last week, so a lot left to be decided here, I think, in these next 10 laps. A very important segment of this race because this is a very difficult track to get onto pit road during green flag conditions.
And it's a one-stop race, so you're really getting one opportunity to make it or break it. Of course, yellows and some other strategy things could change that over the course of the night. The one yellow we had earlier didn't change anything. Still very clearly a one-stop race. You're going to want to make sure you come down at the right time. Looking on board with Stephen Wilson, he's going to go underneath Donovan Strauss in that Duracell Williams Esports Toyota. He's all the way through, and in the general tire, 15 behind Reynolds, just about into the door of the 20, is a little bit loose off of 4. Was Donovan Strauss, but the 15 car also through and clears, so Strauss loses 2 in the blink of an eye, and he finds himself at a race low P11 as they race off of 2. DeYoung, LaPrade, other drivers still in the midst, and in front of them, Cody Bias back underneath Zach Novak in a battle for 7th and 8th, and Novak has got the job done. He is through. He is trying to make up for some spots lost, and I'll tell you what, the guys in the top 5 all in the green, including Michael Guest, plus 13 positions from 16th on the grid to 3rd. So this green flag run really allowing several drivers an opportunity to race their way to the front.
We are starting to see, Evan, a lot of separation, and that's kind of why you're starting to see a lot of new names up here at the front of the field. The time that the field is running, you see a lot of 31.8s, 31.9s. These drivers up front are still in the 31.6s and 31.5s. So perhaps more than any race we've seen this year, we have some cars that are very, very strong on the long run, and that's why you're starting to see a number of new names coming up to the front. A lot of drivers out there look really loose, and they're really starting to feel it here as we get about 50 laps into this run. But a lot of drivers in our top 6 and 7, new names, Kerwin, Keister, and Bias, that have really figured it out as we take a listen in here with Mitchell DeYoung.
Three wide in the center of 3 and 4. Mains underneath. The 79 in the middle as we have pit service crossing halfway home here from Nashville. Of course, that was your Logitech onboard camera with Mitchell DeYoung. A lot of counter steer as that race car was a little bit tail happy, but Bobby Zelensky, Logan Clampett down pit road blanket. I assume many more are going to follow quickly in suit.
That is going to be the case. Again, getting that clean air is so important, and being able to leapfrog here. These tires have fallen off quite a bit, so if you can pit a little early and get a little bit of track position, especially with a number of these cars really starting to fall off towards the tail end of this run. You see Mitchell DeYoung, Michael Conti have made their way onto pit road, so far 4 cars. Surprised that we've only seen 4 here at the halfway mark make their trip onto pit road in the midst of this green flag cycle.
Entire fall off has been in the 1.5 second range. Fastest laps that these guys put down at the start of the run to now. So there is certainly a track position advantage to coming down to the pit lane early. Of course, the backside of that is you're going to have the older tires later, and that is the age-old question. When do you pit? On board with Maines there as he wrestles that car to pit road, but the 31 machine is down this time for service. Derek Bordeaux, Mitchell DeYoung, Michael Conti also in and now out for service. So the number of cars who have completed their service sits at just about 8 or 9 right now. Still waiting on majority of the field to pit. Kyle Peddle says he'll be coming down pit road, but up front, Bolin 1, Bose 2, Guest 3, they hold strong. Your race leaders yet to come down pit road.
Now, I want to bring up something that happened last fall running in the Contender Series race at this track. And out of, if there were 40 cars there, I was the 41st fastest. I was so slow, could not figure out this track. But what I did is save fuel over the entire run and hope for a caution to come out. It ended up coming out. We somehow got a 10th place run out of that run. And I think there's a lot of drivers who are potentially going to try that here. I think Derek Justice, Nick Shelton perhaps saving a little bit of fuel, Liam Brotherton. So we may try to see a number of drivers catch a caution as one spinner into pit road. That is Ryan Luza, and Leahy and Alt nearly making contact as they tried to avoid him. No caution, but Ryan Luza losing a lot of time and perhaps some damage for a couple of others in Dylan Alt.
Well, you referenced it earlier, tricky pit road to get onto, and he was just a little bit too much on that transition from the racetrack to the apron, got in a little bit hot and spun it out, and there was contact between the 45 of Leahy and the 40 of Alt on pit road entry. I think the big thing to take away is there's no yellow in that. It was off of the racing surface, but I wonder if that's going to spook some more drivers to come down to the pit lane. The 88 machine's going to be in, and your race leader, Graham Bolin, now going to be headed to pit road this time, James.
Grant going to make his way off the banking on turn 4 and down to pit road. Not too much chatter outside of tire wear, but that's been a theme across a lot of the drivers that I've been listening to throughout the course of this race. Everybody's been struggling with rear grip, especially on the course of a long green flag run. So you look at the drivers like Alan Bose and Michael Guest who have made their way up through the field. They've done a better job of managing those rears as we've completed the first 56 laps of this race. Not too much otherwise. No changes for Alan Bose either. No changes for Michael Guest. This is going to be a matter of who can manage the rear tires the best if this goes green the rest of the way.
And now it is wholesale service. About a dozen cars on pit road. Bose has cycled through to the race lead. He'll be down pit road. The 41 machine of Dylan Duval behind will follow him onto the pit lane. Donovan Strauss now also down pit road. So this thing's going to wrap up quick. You spend about 40 to 42 seconds on pit lane total. Of course, that doesn't account for the time lost speeding down and slowing down, speeding up to get it in out of the pit lane. So anybody who's pitted has lost the lead lap. So the running order is a bit of a mashed potatoes look right now. We'll have to wait for it to complete itself to cycle through, but let's take another look like what happened with Luza.
You can see Ryan Luza pitting, and he gets that right rear kind of caught onto the banking. The left sides are down, and from here, you're just trying to get spun around as quickly as possible. Traffic is incoming, but at that point, you're just trying to negate all of that lost time as you're sitting there. A great job by Leahy and Alt to not make that situation worse, but unfortunately for Luza, made up a lot of spots, and he probably just threw all of that away, all that work he did over that first run.
Only positive I can see is I don't think he got damaged. You saw some sparks. I think the only contact with the two cars, Leahy and the other driver behind him, who got together trying to avoid him. But you're right, a ton of time thrown away for Ryan Luza in that exchange. He has cycled out to 33rd position. Before the pit cycle, Ryan Luza was running in 13th, so that's a net loss of 20, just like that. Looking at some of the fresh tires versus old ones, and well, that 10 is Steven Wilson's your race leader. The 23 is notable because as Wilson comes down pit road, Mitchell DeYoung is the net race leader. The 23 is the lead car amongst those who have pitted.
Turn 4, Parker Retzlaff is spun here on the front straightaway, and this is going to shake everything up, Evan, as 18th on back is scored a lap down. Parker Retzlaff turned in the 33rd position, and that's going to turn this entire race on its head.
And it was two cars who had already completed their pit service, but they were catching Taylor Hurst, who was still a little bit slow, having just got passed up by the 43 machine the lap prior. and it stacked them up off of 4. And you mentioned this is huge because the top 5 drivers were still yet to pit. So Busa, Alfala, Brotherton, Justice, and Shelton had yet to pit. And you mentioned a majority of the field were still stuck a lap down behind 18th position. So it is scheduled pit stops for those top 5. You will see them come down. The question is, for some of the drivers who pitted about a dozen laps ago, do they decide to come down pit road? It looks like some will, some won't. Mitchell DeYoung pitted 10 laps ago. He is staying out. However, Zelensky pitted 10 laps ago. He is in. So this pit cycle under the yellow is really going to shuffle up the running order. Let's take a second look, though, and see what happened.
You're going to see right here with Parker Retzlaff, contact on pit road between LaPrade and Kerwin getting in, but this is what brought out our latest caution. You can see Retzlaff, it's so easy to do at this track. You get a little bit tight off the corner. You really have to check up. Unfortunately, Femiola, really just an innocent victim there, couldn't do anything as Retzlaff checked up to miss that outside safer barrier. And like you said, Evan, a number of drivers who had pitted did elect to come down pit road, but that group we saw up front who pitted around lap 57 or so, most of them electing to stay out on the racetrack.
It is, as you mentioned, a mixed bag. Looks like the top 8 drivers stay out on track. Let's take the onboard perspective with Femiola. You can see out of the throttle, 6 cars check it up. Again, they're just slowed down by Hurst in front, and it all happened so quick on corner exit. He was all right. He ended up going through the grass, but again, it was the spinner in front of him that brings out the caution flag, and we'll slow things down for a second time tonight. Big news for the 48 Michigan. Graham Bolin, one of the drivers, of course, who was leading this race. He had already pitted. He has decided to pit for a second time. Bolin scored in 16th position. So, again, this running order is really shuffled up, James.
Dan here with Femiola for Clint Boyer Racing. And Femi, just take us through your perspective on what happened there coming out of turn 4, what you saw.
Parker checked up more than I thought he was going to, and really more than he should have. He kind of overdrove the exit and lifted way more than I thought he was going to. And I hit him, and I don't think the car is too bad, though. So, unfortunate caution, but we'll try to make the best of it.
Are you worried about that right front damage and whether or not that might affect you going forward in this?
No, it shouldn't be a problem.
Not a lot of contact there for Femi Olan, so he thinks he'll try and get it back going. Currently scored on the 24th position, Evan.
Yeah, tough break for him, but again, I think everybody's in a bit of a tricky spot. So again, just to recap here, Blake, your top 8 drivers stayed out. They had previously pitted before the yellow. 9th through 13th, but the drivers who had yet to pit, they cycle in line, and then behind them, there's about another half a dozen to a dozen race cars who pitted before the yellow but opted to pit again. So you have effectively 3 now different strategies that have roughly balanced things out. Again, your top 8 on older tires than everybody else, but I mean, Bolin down in 16th. Talking about Mitchell DeYoung, who was the net race leader. He stays out and goes to the race lead, but he's on 12-lap old tires, older than anybody else. What's he going to be able to do from the front row as the lights are out on top of the pace car?
It's going to be tough for DeYoung, who didn't have a fast car. I like this call staying out because you just had about 12 cars take a wave around. So you're going to have these front 23 cars who came down and pit. Then you have about your top 7 or 8 or so that are staying out. They actually just threw the caution again. We're going to get one more lap to allow the 12 drivers who took that wave around to be able to catch up to the back of the field. So they're going to catch up to the field here momentarily, and we'll get one to go this next time by. But, man, this is really going to shake this up. We have a number of new players up here at the front of the field. Derek Justice in 12th. Ray Alfala is now up into the top 10. They have fresh tires. This could really change things up here, Evan.
And for more information on how to start your iRacing career, you can log on to iRacing.com for more information. With iRacing, the official simulation partner of NASCAR. And of course, to stay up to date with this series for schedule, standings, and info on how to one day compete in this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. All of that at iRacing.com/eNASCAR. So let's back out again, and a quick question for you, Blake. We referenced this on the last restart, right? Restart zone procedure has changed. In the past, when the pace car has cleared to the racetrack, the race lead, or the control car, if you will, has been able to start the race at their discretion. But restart zones now enforced, so just like you'll see with the Cup race on Sunday, DeYoung can't fire off right away. He's going to have to wait until he gets within those lines designated on the front straightaway.
And that is a big change here, Evan. You can see the Geico restart zone painted at each NASCAR Cup Series track, and the leader will have to go inside that restart zone. So essentially what it did is it shrunk the restart zone here. It's a little more predictable for the rest of the drivers, and the leaders doesn't have such a large amount of space to try and go here. So Mitchell DeYoung leveling the playing field a little bit as we're going to ride on board here with Garrett Maines as we are going to get a restart here with 35 laps to go. You'll see it on board, or on the head rather, of Garrett Maines as we come to the green flag.
And on board with the Baines there, you can see working the inside, doing a good job of maintaining the bottom, which is really where you want to be. You don't want to get pushed up and out of line, and he's doing an all right job as he maintains his positioning, and this race now fully back and underway. Garrett Maines running back in the number 18 spot right now, and his number 31 machine. They've single filed out. There's a lot of side-by-side in front. Look at this duo. You got the 54 machine of Kyle Peddle funded with Dylan Duvall, and behind them, Alfala just squeaking out in front of Blake Reynolds in battle for 9th.
It's really stacked up. You're starting to see those battles around those drivers who came down in pit, and kind of the tussle that's going on with all of those who elected to stay out. Alan Bowes perhaps making the best of that situation up here in the second spot, but Kyle Peddle, his teammate back here, doing some work of his own, trying to battle here side by side with Dylan Duvall and making that outside lane work, Evan. As this race has gone on, that outside looks like it's been a little bit more competitive. You see Duvall able to make the pass right there, but as this race has gone on, that middle groove has been a little bit easier for these drivers to try to hold him off. As Ray Alfala, another beneficiary of this caution, he is the furthest ahead driver that pit under the caution, has moved his way up into 7th.
He's certainly taken advantage of it. Last time we checked in with him, he was in the high 20s, now plus 30 to position 7. So Alfala taking advantage of this, and taking advantage of Peddle in the battle for 7th and 8th as he was able to get all the way through. Next on deck, the 41 of Dylan Duvall. You're looking off at the back of the gear wrench Ford for Stuart Haas Esports. It's Duvall in 6th. You're looking at Alfala behind in 7th. Everybody pretty much in touch with your race leader. Single file from this point on up to the front of the road as you now look off at the front of his Ford Mustang, and you can see Bias in front of him 5th, then Novak 4th, Wilson 3rd, Bowes 2nd, and DeYoung still in 1st off of the restart.
And right ahead of Dylan Duvall, you can see Alan Bowes, who was so strong prior to that caution flag. Even with the old tires, has started to make up some ground as we see 3 wide, Bowden, Lowe, and Femi Olot. Lowe able to get the best into that for the time being, but even back here in the pack, we talk about it time and time again, Evan. These drivers race so hard, perhaps even harder back here, further back in the field. Again, these are drivers that didn't pit. They had to take that wave around, so they're really just racing for about 22nd, 21st, and that's as far up as they can move on these old tires.
Garrett Lowe looks like he's racing from the office behind the wheel of that 21 machine, all set up in a cubicle of sorts, and he was the braver of the trio. Femi is the one who said, nah, not today, when they went 3 wide into the corner. He backed out of it. Meanwhile, Garrett and Collins still dueling it out for 24th and 25th position. There's a look at the other driver in this battle. calling about it on the bottom of the racetrack, pushing up and squeezing that 21 machine up to the outside. We always like checking in to see what he's watching. I don't think it's the Stanley Cup Finals. They're off tonight. Basketball's done, so I don't know what movie of choice he has chosen to be his background music tonight, but he might want to tune in to something, an action movie, get the blood pumping, get going, because 25th position is up from where he started, but I'm sure Colin wants to get a little bit more out of that race car.
Well, see, he has a lot of time to try and make that happen. Always interesting to see what he's watching back there as we look a little bit further up front, Evan. I thought that these drivers that stayed out on these old tires would be a little bit slower than they are, but so far they've really been able to hold their ground. Ray Alfala's been able to make up about 4 spots since that restart, but after that initial launch that these fresh tires had, we've started to see things even out just a little bit as Alfala now trying to chase down Cody Bias. As you take a look at the right-hand side of your screen, those are the live points for the playoff grid. And Evan, the one thing that sticks out there, only 3 slots right now for non-race winners, with Mitchell DeYoung right now currently holding the lead.
And holding the lead, of course, that would take another race winner into the equation and leave even less spots available on points. Again, 5 races left in the regular season, but how long will Mitchell DeYoung be the car in front? Because here comes Steven Wilson, race winner from Atlanta earlier this year, to the inside, and they'll go side by side for the race lead. Novak watching on from the third, can't get there, and this one will turn to a drag race as it'll continue down the back straightaway. 25 laps to go from Nashville. You're watching the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Here in the number 23 car could be about to make history. Down the back straight, pacing away for the 70 car. Check up. Watch a map and walk the track.
Your age, your name, your trophies. None of that matters this season. Just what beats under your hood. I am NASCAR.
This portion of the broadcast is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and by ASUS, the official PC and monitor of eNASCAR, and by Logitech. Through design, engineering, and a love of driving games, Logitech G takes racing simulation to another level. Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Well, what a battle inside now of 20 laps to go. They were 3 wide for the race lead, and the man who snuck by all of them was the number 5 Sunoco Chevy of Zach Novak. He has driven his Rise Esports fueled by Sunoco entry to the race lead with now 19 laps to go at Nashville. James?
can tell you that Steven Wilson might be in second place right now, but the side-by-side battling that you saw with Mitchell DeJong in particular under the commercial break has him furious. He thinks that DeJong may have helped to burn off the right front on his car and just wanted him to get off of his right rear, so Wilson isn't sure if he's got something. Meanwhile, Ray Alfalla, how about this? 37th to 3rd in the span of 82 laps, and he's got 6 lap pressure tires. Then Zach Novak, the race leader, so if he can get past Steven Wilson, watch out. It's been a vintage performance from the 4-time series champion.
He has certainly taken advantage of the circumstances he was given, Blake, and is now in 3rd and closing on both Steven Wilson and Zach Novak. Behind, though, more 3 wide. It's the 48 car of Bolin in the middle. It's Curran to the outside, Guest on the inside, and how long will this last?
Kerwin trying to make that outside work behind that initial 3-wide battle. LaPrade almost looked to make it 4, and Bolin is a man on a mission after leading so much of this race. Almost contact with Casey Kerwin. Zielinski's loose in front of him. DeYoung is out of the way. Chaos, and Briar LaPrade goes for a spin, gets into his teammate. Caution is out on lap 84, and LaPrade over the radio incensed at what just happened.
He is not happy with one Graham Bolin, but I think if he sees the second look, I don't think it was that much of a willing move by Bolin to get down. I think Bolin got sandwiched. You can see Briar is not happy. Of course, we talked about it. The hometown kid, the rookie, getting his first career pole. But after the opening 18 laps, he started to slip back, got caught out with unfortunate timing on the yellow, was stuck back in the teens, and I think the frustration from Briar, a combination of factors, but certainly he didn't do anything wrong, but there's a reason I asked Blake how long can it last, and even though they got down to 2 wide, they could not get it all sorted. Let's look.
We'll take one more look. There was multiple instances of 3 wide throughout this lap. You can see Graham Bolin right there through the middle, almost gets a shot from Kerwin, thought they made contact, but then Zielinski and Guest right in front of him, and it looked like Petal may have gotten into the wall, stacked them up a little bit. Somehow, some way, there was a big change. Everybody, Evan, coming down pit road except for Logan Clampett.
Clampett is the lone driver up front who stays out. Now it looks like maybe Derek Bordeaux will join him. Some other drivers not pitting are laps down, so that's why you see other cars behind the 97. But who is going to win the race off of pit road behind this group? First off is Ray Alfalla in the 51. 2 right side tires only to maintain track position. In fact, it's 2 tires for him, Busa, Reynolds, Zielinski, and Guest. So the top 5 off of pit road go for 2 tires only as we take another look at the incident.
You can see about what feels like about 15 cars here in front of Garrett Lowe. You get on the back straightaway, hard to see exactly what happens. LaPrade is pointed to the outside wall. It looks like Bordeaux wrapped up in that one. Garrett Maines was involved in it as well. A great job there by that 21, though, to avoid all trouble. I don't know how Michael Conti avoided that. It was he and LaPrade that made the first contact that I saw. I don't know how Michael Conti drove away from that unscathed.
Sometimes, as they say, it's better to be lucky than good, and when there's that many cars wrecking in front of you, you just point and shoot and hope that you find a gap. And those drivers certainly fortunate that the wreck was 1 or 2 cars smaller than it could have been, because they were very, very fortunate to find some clean air to find their way through. So it does, in fact, end up being Clampett and Bordeaux who stay out. They are both on 25 lap old tires, and will go to first and second position. Then the 2 tires. As I mentioned, the next 5, Alfalla, Busa, Reynolds, Zielinski, Guest through 7th on 2. And then it's kind of a mixed bag from there, Blake. You got Novak on 4, but then Kerwin on 2, Wilson on 4, Conti on 2. So, there's not a huge consensus on what the strategy was, but 2 versus 4, nowhere near the question of old tires versus new. So it's going to be fascinating to see, James, what Clampett and Bordeaux can do from the very front of the row.
You have eRacers Derek Bordeaux staying out on 25 lap old tires, currently P2. So Derek, just walk us through the strategy decision. What's the reasoning behind staying out here?
Just trying to get track position. I mean, I was involved in the wreck just now, but engine looks good. I don't know how bad the car is. I don't think it's that bad, so we're just gonna, hopefully, I don't know, I was in 31st, so if I stay out here, I'm more likely gonna either finish 31st by getting wrecked again, but just trying to get track position and make a miracle happen.
Richard DeYoung was able to stay up there for a little bit with the clean air. Does that give you confidence that the strategy may play out better than you might anticipate?
Yeah, but he was on, I don't know how, I think he was on less than 10 lap tires here, but yeah, we're just crossing our fingers and hopefully they watered up behind us, but yeah, it's part of the strategy.
Net gain, the big words there for Derek Bordeaux, Evan.
I mean, certainly taking advantage of this. He started back in 22nd up to P2. Clampett, of course, has had a bit of a weird night. He started way back in 32nd, although Clampett was running in 9th when the caution flag came out. Derek was a little bit further on, back down in around 18th position at the moment of yellow. So, coming to 12 laps to go. Who are you going with, Blake? The old tires, the 2 tires, the 4, or none? Are we not getting to the end on this one?
You know, this somehow just has a feeling of Matt Busa pulling this one out. You have Clampett up here on old tires. You have Derek Bordeaux, who is involved in that incident. He has a little bit of damage. I think Busa right here on the high side has a great chance to pull away.
Let's take it in and go iRacing full throttle. Logan Clampett in control, looking for 12 laps to go at Nashville.
Trouble on the front straightaway. Garrett Lowe into the outside wall. He'll collect Garrett Maines. The 54 also spins. 3-car incident as Lowe had his nose pointed the wrong direction towards the flag stand, and caution is out as Ray Alfalla took the race lead.
Alfalla on the outside powers to the race lead. The yellow will take a chunk out of the 11 laps remaining in this race. That could be good for the 51 car. Again, one of the drivers who took 2 tires under the yellow has gone through to the race lead, and it all ends in tears for Garrett Lowe and others. We'll take a second look at the Coca-Cola replay. Side by side, Lowe and Duval off the corner, but as things check up, you'll see the 41 kind of hold the middle. I don't think that Garrett Lowe saw that coming to Blake. He gets into him, and then the real damage comes when he snaps back up the hill and takes out others. Bolin involved after such a good night, and also you see that 31 car up against the fence as well.
Yeah, you could see Duval kind of give Zielinski a little room, thinking he may get into the outside wall off of 4 fishtails, and unfortunately runs into Garrett Lowe. We know how snappy these cars can get when they get out of control, and that was just all it needed. It's very easy to overcorrect these cars. Garrett Lowe hard into the wall. There was really nowhere for Graham Bolin to go, who I'm sure just has to be so frustrated. Looked like he may be in a position to go back-to-back here tonight. He gets a fair amount of engine damage out of that. A tough scene right there. But up front, how about Ray Alfalla, who now has fresher tires than Logan Clampett and will have control of this restart. So Ray Alfalla, very fortunate. He just got ahead of Logan Clampett when that caution came out, and now old 4-time looks to be in a really, really good position.
And I'm thinking that gamble for 2 might just pay off for old 4-time, as you mentioned, because of course we mentioned some drivers took 2, some took 4. The highest car on 4 tires is Novak. He was only able to get up to 7, so he still has work to do. Alfalla, better than Clampett on tires, equal with Reynolds and Guest, he'll be on row 2, should, in theory, have the upper hand when this race goes back green with about 7 or so laps to go, James.
With Elliott Sadler Esports, Garrett Maines. Garrett, how shocking is it when you have an incident like that where you're just going, and then all of a sudden, boom, instant contact?
Yeah,
I saw him go down the track, and I'm like, oh, there's one in the grass, but I couldn't really see where he was coming back across until he was right in front of me, and I just twitched the wheel, and it was either hit him head on or try to avoid, and I tried to avoid it. It went hard right. So we were done either way there. Just definitely not the ending we wanted. That's 2 weeks in a row that we've had some serious misfortune. We've gone to 2 good tracks for me and just not been able to pull it off.
Not the way you wanted the night to end, but how much fun has it been riding along with the helmet cam and bringing everybody your perspective?
Well, I feel like there's been some good moments for it. It was cool. I thought, I'm not streaming tonight, so I might as well, give it to the broadcast so y'all could have a cool point of view there. But yeah, tough break for the Chevy Liners, Camaro. Got to give a shout out to Leaf Filter, MCU Body, Lennox, guys, iRacing, Elliott Sadler Esports for all the hard work on the car this week. Shout out to Chris Rice and Matt Collig. Just a seriously tough break. I thought we might squeak into the top 10 there, but we were in both of those wrecks at the end. Just wrong place, wrong time.
Really, really big hit there for Garrett Maines.
It's a tough end for his night after it showed so much promise. So many drivers tonight have had good looks at it, and things have just fallen apart. And now a real interesting situation in terms of who your race leader is. Of course, Blake Alfala, looking for the win tonight, enters tonight 21st in the points. If he could take victory tonight, of course, that win would put him onto the playoff grid, but only barely, and really only because the win comes with 40 race points. That should be enough to get him ahead of Dylan Duvall, who he was tied with coming into tonight. But this is big for Alfala, because if he wants to win his way into the playoffs, he needs to first get the checkered flag and then stay top 20. So for this guy being in 21st, this is a huge moment in Ray Alfala's season.
Well, you can see he's got a little bit of a smile on his face, so feeling very confident, laughing it up is old four-time right there. He seems to be in a very comfortable position, and like you said, has to stay top 20 in points if he is able to hold on here. Remember, Chris Shearburn went to victory lane at Kansas last year, but that win did not make him playoff eligible as he was outside the top 20 in the points when the playoffs started. So a little bit of work ahead, but right now for Ray Alfala, it's simple. Go get the checkered flag. You got 6 laps to do it when we take the green flag.
He's won a race at each of the last 2 seasons. Ray Alfala's last win, May 25th of 2021 at the virtual Charlotte Motor Speedway, but the 4-time champion is looking for career win 27. Can he do it? Pace car off and in this time, and Alfala will see 6 laps to go for the virtual Nashville Superspeedway. Clamp it to the outside. Reynolds, Guest, Bordeaux, your top 5 to the restart zone. Green flag back in the air.
And not a great launch there for Blake Reynolds. Alfala gets away perfectly in the Geico restart zone. Reynolds able to clear for second, though. Has some fresh tires. That's going to be the biggest challenge for Alfala as they are 3 wide. Derek Bordeaux, old tires stuck in the middle, and everybody trying to avoid him.
Faster cars inside and outside of the 42. Novak's going to get through. Busa through. The 10 of Wilson through on the bottom. Still 3 wide as they come to 5 to go. To the apron goes Michael Guest. He gets blocked by Logan Clampett. The fighting is for 3rd on back, where all of the side-by-side is. 4 wide now as Wilson squeezes Busa to the outside wall.
And trying to make it work on the bottom, you can see a tandem with Kerwin and Conti. They are 3 wide, multiple rows deep, as Bordeaux still struggling on those old tires. Everybody trying to get around. They're 3, they're almost 4. They are 4 wide on the trioval.
And they can't make it. Caution flag. They're wrecking behind that group that we saw. Kyle Peddle into the outside wall. It did not start, though, with Kyle Peddle. I believe it was the 45 of Keegan Leahy who took a shot after a couple of cars in front of him got together, and Leahy was not intending, I think, on being the test dummy for the new crash damage physics on these NASCAR Cup cars on the service, but the front end of his VRS number 45 Toyota missing after that contact, and we'll take a second look in a minute to see what happened. But what this does do is this is going to push us into eNASCAR overtime.
and Blake Reynolds needed it. Ray Alfalla ran the fastest lap of the race that previous lap before we had that caution. We're going to take a look here. Retzlaff and Derek Justice off that trouble spot off of 4. This time it's Donovan Strauss. You can see Justice check up, gets a bump from Femi Olot, not able to save it, and a hard impact there for Keegan Leahy. So unfortunate there for driver 54, Kyle Peddle. Both space station entries looked so strong earlier tonight as we take a look at our green-white checkered overtime procedure, Evan.
Yep, so as always, we will have up to 3 attempts to complete this race under green. They will take the green flag with 2 laps to go. If the white flag is taken, the race is official, and the race will finish under green no matter what happens on the last lap of the race. If there is a caution flag before we see the white flag, we'll slow them down, re-rack them and stack them, and try it again. So again, as many as 3 attempts at a green flag finish in eNASCAR overtime. And you mentioned that Blake Reynolds needed that yellow. I'll tell you, somebody who didn't, Blake, was Ray Alfalla. You mentioned he put down the heater of the night the lap prior to that. He was looking good. Now he's going to have to do it all over again and try to nail another restart as we see what Brian DeMercurio saw on board through that incident.
And he's going to have to do it potentially multiple times. This is our 4th race this year going into overtime. Only one of those back at Dover, where Nick Ottinger won, took multiple attempts. So Ray Alfalla having to be sharp here for this first restart. There may be more to come. And if you're Blake Reynolds, how much do you gamble trying to jump that restart? If they could be side by side off the corner, I wouldn't write Blake Reynolds out of this at all.
Yeah, he needs to be in the conversation. The drivers on the old tires have fallen out somewhat, right? Bordeaux's way down to 13th. We saw him in the middle of 3 wide. Clampett, also the other driver on the old tires, has only fallen to 6th. So those drivers are fighting for some valuable points still. But, you know, when you talk about the tires, Alfalla on 2, Reynolds on 2, but Novak's on the 4. And he's going to be right behind Ray inside of row 2 on the number 5 Sudoku entry. He is somebody to watch. 2 tires on Guest's car, on Conti's car. 2 tires for Kerwin. Again, Wilson's got 4, but he's down at 8th. So I think Novak might be the guy to watch for here on the second row.
Well, the one driver I'm going to keep my eye on is Logan Clampett. No tires for Logan Clampett, James.
No tires for Logan Clampett. 2 tires aboard the 51 machine of Ray Alfalla. Ray, you have charged through this field quite literally, so where's your mind at coming to this green white checker?
Got to make 4 lefts and win the race, really. I think the car feels good. We've called a good race. We've had some luck, so we just got to finish it off.
Any concern about any of the 4 tire drivers behind you, 2 tire drivers behind you, or is this just go and think about the rest later?
I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, so we just have to go as hard as possible.
Ray Alfalla going to look to bring up his first victory of the season here in a few moments.
Looking for his first win of the season. Also looking for his first win on a large concrete racetrack like this, Blake. There's not many things that we can say Ray Alfalla has not done, but he has not won at Dover, and of course has never won here at Nashville. First time on the calendar in 2021. So that's a big thing to keep in mind is Ray Alfalla's got a new challenge again. He's on the older tires. I just think you got to be worried about Novak on 4. It's really going to all come down to that restart, box restart.
Well, in the last time we saw that, Alfalla was able to get a fantastic jump. I don't think Reynolds got a particularly good one, but Novak, who has finished second in each of the last 2 races, you got to think he's desperate to nail this restart and see if those 4 tires can pay dividends for him and that Sunoco team.
And there's one way to find out. It is going to be attempt number 1 of 3 at an eNASCAR overtime finish. You can see they're all lined up. To remind you, Alfalla on the inside of the front row has restart control in his hands. He will start it in the box. We're looking to get to the white flag for this attempt to be official. A yellow before it will extend us to a second attempt. Reynolds on the outside of the front row, also on 2 tires. Novak's got 4 from row 2. Guest and Conti inside of the top 5. Pace car down. Ray Alfalla looking for his first win of the season. 2 laps to go at Nashville.
And he slowed down the pace a little bit there, but was able to take advantage of it. Is out single file, side by side, behind them for second. That's exactly what he needs to see. Blake Reynolds and Zach Novak side by side for second, slowing each other down. Big move to the inside here by Steven Wilson, and Guest with the crossover as well to block that move.
Guest went down 3 lanes to shut the door on the 10. Novak is clear for second. The gap is going to be 4 car lengths. White flag in the air.
One more lap to go, and it's going to be Novak. Blake Reynolds said, go get him. So Novak trying to chase him down on 4 tires. Can he catch him? It's about 2 car lengths now on the back straightaway.
Novak's been a runner-up in the last 2 races consecutively. Alfala looking for his first win of 2022 as well. Novak's faster, but he's going to run out of time. And 4-time wants to fight for another title. Ray Alfala wins at Nashville.
What a drive there for Ray Alfala, who took advantage of that strategy. These races are like tacos, Evan. There's a lot of layers to them. So many different ways to try to end up in victory lane. Ray Alfala takes advantage of that strategy call and had a fast car when it mattered.
It is the 27th win of his storied eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series career. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR, and he has had some impressive wins over the years, but tonight did not take a time in qualifying, started 37th, and goes on to take the victory.
I think there's always been some question, and now I think he would. He may have had to take a quick trip to the bathroom, Evan, because or at least was running around or something. We see he left.
He's got the Coca-Cola hat. I thought he was going to come back
go.
with a Coke, some champagne, or something. He is ready. You can tell he's done this once or twice.
Oh, all right. You can see Ray Alfala experienced, again, the all-time wins leader in this series. He's done this a time or two, and there's been a lot of questions here these last couple of years whether he's still got it. I think he answers the bell time and time again, year after year, that Ray Alfala is still a factor to fight for a championship in this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series.
Yeah, you look at a guy who drives that 51 machine who has competed in every single season of this championship. Let's take a look at how he did it from behind the wheel with a look at our Coca-Cola move of the race. The driver for Joe Gibbs Racing out of Cape Coral, Florida. And it comes down to the restart. He had the 2-tire decision to give him track position. Blake Reynolds on the 2 tires. He gets the jump, and the jump is what did it for him, because Novak was quicker, but he left Reynolds so far behind that they got stuck fighting for second just long enough, Blake, that it did not give Novak enough time to get there by the time he got clear.
And again, not as easy as it looks on those 2 tires. The tires are really cold. We had a really long caution there pacing around, so those tires cooled down. He's on old left sides, but when it mattered, no tire spin whatsoever. Got a fantastic launch, and that was enough to pull away from Zach Novak, who ran the fastest lap of the race on that last lap. But Alfala had enough of a gap. Wasn't going to be enough to chase him down.
There have been 13 seasons of eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series racing, and Ray Alfala has now won in his 12th individual season. Of those 13, 27 total career wins, continues to pad the stats at the top of the list. And let's chat with him now, Blake.
Let's chat with old 4-time here, Ray Alfala, a winner for the 27th time in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. Ray, this race had a lot happening in it, a lot of different strategy going on, but as far as getting back to victory lane, how does it feel to have that spot in the playoffs locked in after a little bit of a struggle early on this year?
Yeah, man, it's been what a season it's been for the VRS Camry, and I'm so happy to get back to victory lane. We messed up in qualifying. That's unfortunately been the case this year for a lot. But then, we got a good break with the yellow, and then we were, like top 3 there. We knew we had pretty good speed, we were, I think, second in happy hour before the race, and but of course it's really difficult to pass from the back. So, but once we were up front, we thought we had a pretty good car to contend, and then old teammate Brian Blackford made a good two-tire call. We were all set on 4, and he's like, "What if you take 2?" I'm like, "Well, 0 tires seem to work decently for those guys in the previous run, so we tried 2, and the car felt it felt like not bad at all."
Well, and Ray, when people think about this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series, there's perhaps no other name that is synonymous with this series than your own. How is it to represent this series over such a long time, and not just to be a part of it, but to be a champion and to continue that success over this prolonged period of time when not any other individual has been able to do that?
Yeah, I'm one of the dinosaurs, I guess. Now I'll be 33 here next week. So, compared to all these guys who are like in high school and college, I feel like an old man. But I mean, I still feel like I'm on top of my game, and I have a really good working group at Legacy Esports that helps with the getting these JGR cars to go really fast. Big shout out to Vicente Salas. He's one of our technical partners, and he had a wreck lap 1, I think, and he puts in a lot of laps to make us go fast, and everybody on Legacy, of course. And it's surreal to get back to the victory lane, but hey, we still have 4 races to go and 2 road courses, so we're not. Well, last year we won a race and we missed the playoffs, so we got to be on it this year for sure.
Well, a statement made tonight. Ray Alfalo ready to fight for another championship. Ray, congratulations on career win number 27.
Thank you, guys.
Coca-Cola hat on. He's prepared. And unfortunately, catching up here with Zach Novak, who was on a remarkable streak as of late. 3 straight second-place finishes in 2022. But Zach, your race was a little bit different, starting up front and having a lot of pace. That Rise Esports machine looked awfully fast all night long.
Yeah, we were really good. The guys on Dead Zone had a lot of pace the long run, but we were really, really strong for about 30 laps, and then it kind of went away. But really, really proud of everyone. Back on the technical setup side of things, they put in a lot of work, and we found a lot of speed over the weekend. So I'm very, very pleased with that. To show up, qualify on pole with Breyer, and third for me, and I think we had 5 of us in the top 10. So very happy about that. It just stings once again, man. I thought that was ours to lose when that caution came out, and just a little too much traffic for us to go through. But huge thanks to Sunoco, Logitech, SimSeeds, Marconi Setup Shop, Virginia State University, everyone at Rise Esports, for making JDR Graphics, for making this car look as good as it did. Matched Nashville perfectly. We're on a really good streak, and I'm really confident we can get there. It's just when you're that close that many times, it gets frustrating for sure. So I'm a little frustrated, but at the end of the day, really good run for us once again.
Well, nothing to hang your hat over. You've scored more points in these last 3 races than 9 drivers did in our first 9 races. Just coming up a little bit short once again. Zach Novak, a P2 effort once again here at Nashville. So we move forward from Zach Novak and catch up with a driver who has shown a lot of consistency this year. Blake Reynolds finishing up in 3rd tonight. A lot going on, a lot of chaos I saw around that 15 machine, but the one theme of the night is that 15 Ford was driving forward all night long.
Yeah, this Jimmy for Esports General Tire Ford, man. I could not believe the qualifying effort, first of all. I haven't nailed it down all year. 19th is pretty good for us, surprisingly. So, and then obviously right before the pit stops there, we were rolling. There was a group of us that was just rolling on forward, and it just was incredible to just get up there, man. I've never had a car just roll forward like that. So, shout out to Houston Hammer, Dustin Lingert, Jarrett Lieber, and all the guys at Dead Zone for putting that together. Just incredible.
Well, it's great to have these runs, Blake, but the one thing when we look at this playoff grid, at least as it stands right now, only 3 slots left for points positions. Now, you're one of those drivers that could contend for that, but as we move towards those playoffs, does the pressure turn up a little bit? Because by the time we get to the playoffs, there may not be any drivers that don't have a win that fight for a championship.
Yeah, that's what happened last year. I'm hoping that we get some more repeat winners. That would definitely help my situation. It's going to be really tough to get one of those point spots. There's just a lot of guys that have scored a lot of points and don't have the win. And I'm up there, but I'm not with a lot of the guys that have done that. So hopefully the rest of the summer goes great for us. I'm looking forward to Road America, and I'll just hopefully get some more repeat winners.
Hoping for some repeat winners. Well, Blake, congratulations on the third place effort tonight for Jim Beaver Esports. And Evan, this Nashville Superspeedway has really, it doesn't disappoint. We had a great Cup Series race here in 2021. He had a great All-Star race in this series and another exciting one tonight as we look at our full results.
And we'll let the Coca-Cola full race results scroll through. Of course, Alfala, Novak, and Reynolds, your top 3. But this is a big win for Alfala. Blake, he's the 8th different race winner this year. There's only 2 spots as of now left on points. But it doesn't mean Ray can shake his hands off and leave it to the postseason, right? He needs to maintain a top 20 in the points. This race win will rocket him to 15. So it gives him a little bit of a buffer with 4 regular season races left.
It is big to be able to have those spots. We just talked to Blake, I know, about how crucial those spots are going to be or whether they're going to be any available. And Evan, as we move forward to Road America, one of those winning spots going to be taken by likely one of the favorites, Mitchell DeYoung, Bobby Zielinski. You always have to watch them when we go to Road America.
And both of those drivers looking for a race win this year. We're not going to race on a racetrack that has 4 turns again until August the 30th. Road America in 2 weeks' time. You got Pocono, and then sandwiched in between that and Watkins Glen. So 2 road courses on the calendar. They're in the next 3 weeks. That is huge in terms of the championship. And you heard it there from Blake. I mean, aside from the wins, he'd be 11th. He would be 1 spot out. Because the wins factor in, he's about 3 out. Wins are critical in this series.
Very critical, as each and every year with the parity in this series. That's the one thing that has remained constant over these last 2 years. You got to go to victory lane.
And the battle will continue in 2 weeks' time. But until then, that is it for us here tonight for iRacing's virtual Nashville Superspeedway. So on behalf of our entire team at iRacing, NASCAR, for Coca-Cola, our entire broadcast team tonight, and for your broadcast crew upstairs. For James Pike on the pit road, for Blake McCandless, and myself, Evan Pasoko, I want to thank you for tuning in and congratulate Ray Alfala, 4-time, now a 27-time race winner. We're back in 2 weeks on Tuesday, July the 5th for our first road course of the season from Virtual Road America. That race and every race of the 2022 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series can be found streaming at eNASCAR.com. Till next time, good night from the Music City.